What's going on? What's going on? Facebook. It's been a while since I really been on here. I left a few messages, but tonight, man, it's been something that's been on my heart. Um, it's been on my heart to tell a testimony. I guess a series of testimonies over the course of the last year, and to share it. I was just driving home tonight, and it just came back on me heavy to share it. And I believe the reason for it is because it's for somebody. All right, so I'm gonna get started. It might take me a little bit of time, but I'm gonna get through it and tell it because somebody's life is more than trying to. It's worth more than trying to make a short video. Okay, so man, about a year ago, August 2016. Some of you may know that I owned a minor league basketball team called the Lime Express. Well, I had to give that team up. Financially, things it just wasn't shaking out like I had originally planned them to. So, got rid of that, and for maybe like that next month or two, like I was kind of messed up a little bit, just because, um, that was something I dreamed up, and I had that thing in my heart so strong because I built this vision for what I wanted to do really, really strong in my heart. And so when I didn't have that anymore, now my next thing was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going to go to now because on the inside, I never seen those plans failing, So, it's kind of messed up. So kind of still did some of the small things to make money that I was doing. And all of a sudden, like, every single one of those things started to dry up. I mean, I was scrapping metal, I was picking up pallets, I was doing roof jobs, I was doing wherever I could, to make money. I still have my entrepreneur kick in me, which I still do now, but back then it was prevalent because I just came off of a big owning a team and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So I was doing that for a while, and all of a sudden, just these things just started to dry up. I'm talking about, man, my truck went out. It went to heaven, so I didn't have a truck to pick stuff up in. I was borrowing trucks, and then all of a sudden, man, stuff just went south. You know what I'm saying? And immediately, I kind of knew. I was like, you know what? It's stuff starting to dry up because it means that I'm supposed to go do. It's supposed to be doing something else. I just knew it. You kind of know on the inside. So, um, man, for about a month or two, I ended up moving to Dayton, Ohio, and staying down there, just to kind of clear my head. And so I would drive back and forth to Lima from church for church, and then I would go to church and I would leave just to clear my mind because I was just there for such a long time and grinding and doing the business I was doing, and I just wanted to naturally just kind of get away for a minute, because I just wanted to kind of be to myself, and just clear my mind and just get a fresh start. You know what I'm saying? So I did that, and so while I was in Dayton, I just started to, like, do different odd jobs. I was trying to push in on my marketing skills and abilities that I have. I tried to just apply for different little positions while I was down there, and just things were not happening. So there was a couple other things opened up. I had an opportunity to actually move to another country and work for this pro league. That ended up not happening. I had an opportunity to work for another pro team, and the things and numbers and all that kind of stuff, it just wasn't right. So I ended up having an opportunity to come over to Central State University, where I currently work, and I just got asked to come over to see if I wanted to train some players. So I ended up coming here for maybe like a month, and trained players. Just came over, no money paid, just worked them out. I love player development. What's up, Eddie? What's going on, man? Pittsburgh in the house. So I just trained them, and I would get it on video in hopes of maybe that if I posted this stuff, people would see it and people would see my abilities and give me an opportunity to come and work for their college basketball team, pro basketball team. At the same time, I had an opportunity to coach for several weeks a rec center basketball team in Kettering, Ohio. And so I did that. Good friend of mine, her son plays on the team. So, I did it and I had the most fun. I'm talking about every time I would go and coach those kids on like a Saturday, I would treat it like it was an NBA game. I would treat it like I was a coach of an NBA team. And that's how excellently I approached it. I mean, I'm talking about get dressed up. I'm talking about tie on the sideline of a rec center little league game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just mentally I had to go there because I was at a place where I didn't know what was next, and you know I wanted to play the part of where I was going. So I didn't know what was happening. So it was during that time that my pastor started to preach a message where he would talk about you talking to God and actually having the stance of God. I have no agenda. Wherever you want me, whatever you have me doing, it's about what you want, and I have no agenda in life. And it was during that time that it showed me that there was a lot of pursuits in my life that I actually went after that were my pursuits. They were things that I dreamed up, that I wanted to do. And sometimes when we do that, we have to be careful because if we don't seek the Lord on it and get His direction, we'll be going on some avenue of dream and grind that He never intended for us to be on because He never told us to do it. So He began to show me all of that, and I could at that point I could openly admit and say, hey, that was me right there. I wanted to do all these big things. I wanted to own all these pro teams and all that kind of stuff, and that wasn't necessarily God's best for me. And it could have been that the timing was wrong, but I just knew that He showed me that that wasn't His perfect will for me. And so, it's definitely a whooping because you get whooped like, dang, I stepped out on all that kind of stuff and, ended up getting in, some debt and different things like that. And, just stuff that, God wouldn't have wished for somebody to be in, you know what I'm saying? Put a lot of pressure on me. Lots of pressure. And so, ended up coaching that team, the little league team. Ended up doing some training at Central State and different things like that. And so I ended up doing that stuff until it just kind of started coming around the time like, okay, I'm doing this, but now I need to start making some real money, because things I was doing was kind of, stretching thin, you know what I'm saying? So I started, looking at jobs, applied for jobs. I mean, up until that point, and even a little bit after that, I think I might have applied for close to 500 jobs. And it may be a very little exaggeration there, but it was probably about that much. I mean, I'm talking about online, sending resumes to people all over the country that I knew that, how you can be confident is like, okay, I know some people, I can send my resume, I can, take the humble route, go in on the low level, and try to just get your way in. I don't mind working my way up. I'm confident that if I can get in the door somewhere, I'll work my way up. I'll be faithful and be an excellent employee. So I kind of took that approach. Nothing opened up. I'm talking about resumes, online resumes. I mean, I put them out there, man. And so, like I said, it got to the point where I had to I was ready to make a change because I was in Dayton for like 2 months, and I ended up staying in Dayton to like the beginning of probably like mid-November to the latter part of November. And so I remember the day where I was like, well, you know what? I would love to keep training like I was doing and stuff, but I can't keep coming without without having money somewhere. So I ended up getting in my car. I actually got a call about an interview in Columbus, Ohio, at this marketing firm, and got in my car. Put my last my next to last $10 I had in my pocket. That money was able to get me from Dayton to Columbus. And by the way, backtrack. There was times, man, that during that time, I was trying to make it work. I was trying to push my training thing out there and all. There was times where, like, literally, I didn't want to even get in my car because when I left the house that I was staying in down there, which was complete favor, I had a friend that, just allowed me to stay in a house that, they were selling, and I got to stay in it with no charge as long as I helped remodel it and do things to get it ready to sell. So that was like a complete blessing all by itself. But there was times I would get in my car and I would want to go to the library just to like fill out resumes and send resumes and email people to see where I can get a job and things like that. And like it was literally the Lord that my car didn't run out of gas. Seriously, like it was like just that tight. There was times I had no money. There was times where I didn't even know how I was gonna eat. There was times where I would have peanut butter and jelly, or just I can't even remember what I had. But there was times where I didn't have much. I mean, I had like some crackers and something in a can. But I made it happen because it was just like I didn't care at that point. I had been through so much in my life that it didn't really matter. I've had times where I hadn't eaten, but it's one thing when you don't have, but then it's another thing when you don't have, but you know how to go through the storm. And so I just took it like a beast. I just took it like a true warrior and true champion. It's like it's not gonna always be like this. And so I let that drive me, and I kept moving forward. When people saw me, I didn't give them the woe is me story, or things, I'm between blessings story. I didn't give them that. They wouldn't have known no better if I had $1,000,000 or if I was broke. They didn't know, and I just trust the Lord. And sometimes I would go to sleep just talking to him and just talking to him about what's to come and, things that I know he's going to do for me. And, it was some hard times. I ain't going to lie. There's some hard times. I mean, there was times where my phone got cut off and I couldn't call out and I needed to call people so I could try to get a job. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go to the library to get on the computer because I had no service. You know what I'm saying? So I had those times, man. And I'm being completely transparent because I just want this to bless somebody. So I had times like that. I had to call family, and maybe I was operating a little pride where, I really don't ask people for a lot, but, I had to call. I had to call family back home, and say, hey, I need to borrow some money, you know what I'm saying? And so it got me through. So here I am headed to Columbus. I have a job interview that I'm leaving for. Got everything I own in my car, and driving to Columbus, go to this job interview. It ended up being some kind of, it wasn't even like a real job. It was like it wasn't a job where you can clock in and get 40 hours a week and you gonna get paid. It was just one of them eat what you kill, and I had done so many eat what you kill jobs. I was ready for a real job. I was like, Lord, I don't care what I have to do. It's just been a little too long like this. So yeah, I went to that interview. I got out of that interview and I was like, man, that's like, that ain't it right there. I spin my wheels. I might as well go spin my wheels for my own company and start something else new rather than spin my wheels for you don't know if you're going to get paid type of thing. So, man, so I left that and I was like, you know what? I got my dress clothes on. This is what I'm about to do. I'm about to take these printed resumes and I'm about to go up to Ohio State. I went to Ohio State and I probably spent like, I don't know, half a day. Went into every office, every athletic office I could. I had the mindset that I was not going to leave this campus until somebody give me a job. For those of you who already know me, I love Ohio State. I've always just I love being down there. I like the atmosphere. I just like how they, athletic facilities and all that kind of stuff. I just love it, And so I ended up going down there. I'm talking about I went to basketball offices and marketing and social media offices. I mean, I was like, you know what? I will start off as a janitor and work my way up and volunteer to be at practices. I mean, whatever. I didn't care at that point. I just knew that my life wasn't going to stay the same. And I know I was trusting the Lord, but I wanted to get out there and put some feet with my faith. So I did that, man. And I can remember when I left the athletic building, nobody said they had anything. I mean, a few people told me that they would, turn my resume in and let me know if they heard anything kind of thing. But I walked out of there and I was like, you know what? And at that point, and I think I just shared it I might have shared it like a week or two ago, is when I just got on Facebook and just started encouraging people, sometimes when you're going through something, it's not supposed to impact you. It's for you to tell the testimony and show your happiness and excitement about what God is doing, and for you to expect something to come. It's not for me to be sad. So it just kind of, the fact that I had went through that whole day doing interviews, going to offices, trying to just walk in and get a job. I just expected it and nothing happened. It just kind of, something rose up on me, just some excitement. And I got on and I just had an encouraging video that I left. So then I got off the video and I'm in this parking lot right across from where the Ohio State basketball, and this is really cool. Like, this blesses me every time. I was right across the street from where the Ohio State basketball team plays and the Schottenstein Center. And so I got off and I just looked across the street for some reason. And I was like, oh, they must have a game today. So I looked on the schedule. Ohio State was like playing in an hour. I'm just like, what? Like, and by that time, like, literally, when you only have about $10 in your pocket, like, to your name and really no destination, it's like, okay, like, you already done your interviews, you grinded all day, nothing happened. I'm like, you know what? I want to go to the game, Lord. So immediately I thought about my money. I'm like, dang, well, I don't even have the money to go to the game. And so the Lord, I just clearly heard the Lord, why don't you believe me for the ticket? He said, why don't you believe me for the ticket? And I was like, you know what, I am. I was like, I got a lot of ticket seed. I done sold tickets. I done gave so many tickets and blessed people with tickets on purpose, sowing seeds that, I was like, Lord, I have a right to reap it. And even if I didn't sow anything, you told me to believe for it because you want to give it to me anyway. So I got back in the car and I was like, Father God, I just want to thank you right now. You said in Mark 11:24, you said, those things I ask for when I pray, believe I receive them and I shall have them. And so I prayed that prayer. So I said, right now, in Jesus' name, I receive my basketball ticket to the Ohio State game tonight. And I believe I receive it. So now, after I already prayed, I prayed that prayer of faith. Now I got to get out the car and act like I'm about to get this ticket from the Lord that I've already received. So I got out the car, and then the parking lot I was in, they were actually taking money to get into that parking lot. Well, I had drove in that parking lot before they started taking money, just to go upstairs to try to get a job somewhere up in that athletic building. And so I was like, well, I'm already in here. So that was like a blessing by itself. And so then I started walking across the street to the Schottenstein Center. And so I get over there, and so I'm getting close to the door now. So I'm like, okay, I can't go in. I ain't got no ticket in my hand. But I'm just going to stand right here and give God a few minutes to work things out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm on I don't know the direction there. It's probably the northeast side of the Schottenstein Center. And so I'm just standing there, just kind of like, just like giving the Lord a chance to work. I've been down this road before. I've seen the Lord do things for me. So he got to use a person. He ain't going to drop the ticket out of the sky. I mean, which he could, but he uses people, So I go over there just expecting God to do something. So then I walk from the northeast side of the arena to the northwest side of the arena, where you go in and get your ticket. So I'm just standing there, man. And while I'm standing there, the enemy will speak to you. He'll try to back you down off the stance of your faith. I don't care if you believe in God for a new iron, whatever. The enemy's going to try to back you down. There's going to be a voice that tries to speak to you. So when I was standing there, that little voice of shame try to come on. You standing out here, you ain't got ticket, you ain't got money to get a ticket. You 36 years old, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, I don't care about that. I'm going to stand right here, because what that thing said was, you might as well go on back to your car. You might as well go on back to your car. You ain't going to get no ticket. Nobody's going to give you no ticket. I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm going to stand right here. I'm going to trust the Lord through this. Because like when you believe for stuff, you'll have that icky feeling where it's like, okay, I'm standing here and you feel all uncomfortable. Like, ooh, just feel uncomfortable. You're just standing there looking silly. But you got to stay on your faith. And so I just stood there, man. I stood there and I just believed the Lord. I was like, no, God, I believe I received my ticket in Jesus' name. It wasn't 5 minutes after that where this lady came from the other side of the arena where I was standing outside the gate, and came down. And in the process, people was walking past me. I'm thinking like, okay, God gonna use somebody, you know. So then when it just seemed like with nobody around, this lady comes up on my right side and say, hey, I saw you down on the other end of the arena, and I wanted to come give you this ticket, but you came down here. So I decided I'll come down here and give you the ticket. And she gave me a ticket into the game, to the Ohio State game. And listen, I didn't say a word to nobody. I didn't whisper to nobody. I didn't let a whole bunch of people know. I didn't do none of that. I just got in my car and prayed and believed I received my ticket. And I walked up there and stood right there in the midst of the enemy trying to talk me down off my faith. And the lady came up and gave me a ticket to get in the game. And this ticket wasn't up top. This ticket was the first row on top of the tunnel where the players run out. That's what the ticket was. So that was like, I mean, in the midst of just everything I was going through, that, oh man, y'all know, it blessed me so much, the fact that the Lord would do that, because I'm a big sports person. I'm a big going to live games person. Like I mean, that is like my atmosphere. If there was somewhere that you didn't know where I was and you was trying to figure out where I was, one of the first places you could probably check is a live basketball or sporting event, because I just love the atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? So I went in the game that night, and before I went in the game, I was actually on the phone in the car with with another employer that I got a call for a job interview for the next morning. So I knew after I went in the game, then I was gonna have to figure out where I was actually gonna to stay, so that I can get up for this 8 a.m. interview. And so I went in, had a great time in the game, just felt so blessed, man. Just felt like crying at times just because God would do that, you know. And I believed he would do it, but when it happened, it just caught me with emotion, you know what I'm saying? So I went in the game, enjoyed that, came out of the game, and I almost forgot about this part, but it just came back to me. Got out of the game, and I was like, well, shoot, I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm about to walk around a little bit. And so, man, I ended up walking across the street, and there's like this bridge, and all of a sudden I seen this guy, and this guy was like, you know, picking up cans and stuff like after the game, you know, outside when people, you know, get rid of their stuff. Well, he was like pretty much surfing through trash and trying to get the cans, and some just came over me just to go talk to him. So, man, I went and talked to him, man, and just kind of, I just sat there and chilled with him and talked to him a little bit. And we talked about the Lord. I think I ended up praying with him. It's been a year. I can't remember exactly. But I think I prayed with him. We just talked about God and, you know, just encouraged him. It was just amazing, man. Like, in the midst of what I was going through, it was like God was like trying to get my mind off of me. And so he kept bringing these situations where it was just like, I didn't even have a chance to even think about my situation, because he was so concerned with like using me to touch somebody else. So, man, I sat there, communed with this cat, just talked to him, man. Just didn't act like I was weirded out by him. None of that. Just sat there and talked to this dude. And knowing that this dude was about to leave, when I left, he about to go to sleep on the bench I was sitting on. You know what I'm saying? At least I had my car around there. He about to sleep on the bench outside. And so it was like, it was just humbling all the way around. And like when I left, I was just crying. I was like, man, Lord, I don't care if you don't do nothing else, Lord. It blessed me. Like it liberated me, man. And so I ended up leaving, got done talking to him, and ended up leaving, getting in the car, trying to figure out what my next move was. I was kind of getting tired too. It was like 10 o'clock. I know I had people I probably could have called and all that, but I just wasn't moved to do it. I just wasn't moved to do it. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. So I ended up going on High Street to this all-night coffee place. I went over there and did some work, and I just started getting real tired. So I ended up driving back on campus somewhere and went to sleep in the parking lot. and you know, I just didn't want to bother at that late at night, you know, calling somebody, trying to see if they'd let me stay. And, you know, I just didn't feel like going on that road. So, so then I woke up the next morning, like 6 o'clock, and same clothes on, went over there, went on this interview. The interview just wasn't the job for me because, first of all, I didn't even have a place to stay in Columbus. Second of all, to even commute, I didn't have the money. You know what I'm saying? It was just all the way around, it was strikeouts. And so, plus the job was like super undesirable, but I was willing to do it, and that's why I went to the interview. But when I got there, it wasn't for me. I just knew it, you know. And maybe I was being stubborn, but I was like, I can't do that. So I ended up chilling there for a few more minutes, and then found out that one of my guys from back home was playing in the NBA game in Indianapolis. So I had enough gas in my tank. I calculated that I had enough gas in my tank. Really didn't have much money. I had like $10 in my pocket and about almost a full tank of gas. So I ended up driving to Indianapolis, watching him play, and then hanging out with the fam. And then after that, really didn't have a place to stay again. So I ended up driving back to Lima, but I got so tired. It was like 2 a.m. I pulled off from the truck stop, went to sleep, woke up at 6. And that was a Sunday morning. That was actually the Sunday morning before Thanksgiving. And so went back home, went to church. Church was super amazing that morning. But before I got to church that morning, I ended up, no, that was a Saturday. So then Sunday, I ended up staying with some family. I woke up the next morning, and when I went to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror. All I can hear the Lord saying was, "Go home to Chicago." That's all I heard. And, you know, when you hear God and you distinctly hear his voice, you know. And so ended up going to church and then ended up driving home to Chicago. I didn't know how long I was going to be there, but I just knew I was supposed to go home, you know. And so I went home, thought I was going to be there for Thanksgiving, ended up staying there till after the New Year. And but I knew it was purposed. And so during that time, I got to reflect. During that time, it was a little hard as well. You know, like I had to park my car because I didn't have money to pay my car insurance, and I sure enough wasn't gonna get pulled over without insurance because I ain't going down that road. So I was like, you know what? I'm in the city. We got public transportation. Park my car. So I ended up parking my car, and I had to catch the bus and the train wherever I went. And so what happened was I got there. And I was just chilling for a few days with the family because I ain't seen the family in a while. And then all of a sudden, you know, them bills and stuff start speaking to you. And so I was like, you know what, while I'm up here, I'm going to see about, you know, getting some kind of job or something like that, maybe for a few, since I knew I was going to be there past Thanksgiving. Because, heck, even if I wanted to go home, I ain't had the money to go home, you know. So stayed there, ended up starting working there, started working downtown Chicago. I was literally like, you know, scrubbing stoves and kitchens at night in restaurants downtown Chicago. I was, man, you name it, you know what I'm saying? Third shift job, you know, just cleaning restaurants, you know what I'm saying? And it ain't the most desirable, but at that point, it just started being real humble. Like, okay, you can't be this old, be broke. It's time to change things around. And if I got to stay here and do this, I'm going to have to do it. So I can remember times where I would get up and I had to sleep during the day because I had to work at night and I had to be at work at like midnight. And so there's times where I would get up and have to go stand on that platform of the train or the L in Chicago. And it was cold during the winter in Chicago this past year. I'm talking about it was times where it was minus 14 and I'm standing on the platform. I feel like everything about to just freeze up. And one time I was walking to the platform and I started to complain and I was just like, God, I'm just too cold. I'm tired of being. And then it was like the Lord just hit me and was like, you know, you ought to thank the Lord. He said, you ought to thank me that you got legs to walk. Some people ain't got no legs. And so it's kind of hit me real quick and he like humbled me. And so I just started thanking him that same night. I was like, Lord, I thank you for legs to walk. I thank you, Lord, that I have the mind, my right mind to even go to work. You know, I'm thankful that I got hands. I just started thanking him for things. And he just showed me that in these situations where you find that are undesirable, you find yourself in these situations, it's like you better start thanking God for what you do have. Don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you do have. You know, and then I remember something my pastor always said a long time ago: if you remain thankful, God will make you fruitful. But if you can't give him thanks for what you do have, how can you expect him to give you more? How can you expect him to give you more? So, man, that job going down there and cleaning kitchens and cleaning stoves and stuff people done cooked over on all day, and dishes and trash and all that kind of stuff. It went from a point to where I was kind of agitated because I was doing it, and he turned my mind quickly. I became thankful for it. Like, I would go and have fun. I would put on my word, put on my music, be down there and working it, and started to enjoy it. And it became like I don't say a contest for me, but it was just like a challenge. Like, I said, I'm gonna go to work like I'm working for the Lord, and I'm gonna clean, and I'm gonna be excellent at this. So like, I started just seeing how good I can clean certain things and stoves and grills, and just wanted to get it the best I could. You know what I'm saying? Because this is kind of where my mind went. And I'm like, Lord, he said, if you be faithful over little, he'll make you ruler over much. So I was like, you know what, Lord? I'm going to clean these stoves like this is the last thing I'm doing on the planet. I'm going to clean it like you put me to work. And I just started cleaning and doing good. And I would even get compliments from, the people that I was working for and stuff like that. Cleaning stoves, stuff like that. So I ain't going to say stuff like that again. But I was cleaning stoves and doing stuff. And so during that time, I can remember the words of my pastor because I was streaming home. I was watching service online, and he would say, and I would update him every now and then about what's going on, where I was at, what was happening, and I would watch service. And he said, when you pray, tell the Lord that you do not have an agenda. Tell him that you don't have an agenda. Like, it's Lord. It's not Lord, make me this. Lord, I want to be this, or me doing this and say, Lord, bless it. It fastly became to me, Lord, what do you want me to do? And so my prayer started to become, Lord, put me where you want me to be, doing what you want me to do. Because, I fastly learned in that season that it's not about what you want to do in life. The world has so many things that it can put in you to try to birth different things that God never called you to do it. There's this, and I'll tell you, I done watched a lot of entrepreneurs, just this and that. I love that stuff. But sometimes you grinding and going after it and being whatever you want to be, it's not the Lord's way. What God has for you, he has for you. And it's a specific plan, it's a specific purpose. And you have to, as a person, seek after him to find out what that is. Because if you don't, you could be living life aimlessly and not even doing what he wants you to do. He don't have 5 different paths for you. He's ordained one path for you. Now, on that path can be many things, but he has a path for you. He has a path for each and every one of us, And so during that time, the desire for me to want that path that he wants me on, it became greater and greater. But, that me knowing what that path is doesn't come by me toiling and grinding and trying to do so many things until I finally run into it. That's the wrong way. You know how I had to do it? I had to trust him and get my hands off of it and sit there and scrub kitchens and walls and greased up hoods. And that's what I had to do. I don't want to do that stuff, man. But you know what? Something birthed on the inside of me where I made myself enjoy doing it and sincerely love doing it. And so I was like, Lord, if I stay here and this is the only place I am, I'm going to keep on doing this. So I did that. I would try to do my fitness. I had like an online fitness thing where people would pay and I would make videos and send them out. I was doing stuff like that because I love fitness, And so it was like during that time, I was spending time with my family and just different things like that. And so I ended up, I got paid and I had some money. I'm like, okay, you ever have money where you have enough to pay one or the other? I was in that situation. I was like, do I pay my phone bill or my car note? And so that day, I ended up calling my insurance and paying. And it's like the Lord was like, tell him why you in the situation. So I told him, like, man, this and this happened, and that's why I couldn't pay it last month, and this and that. Man, the lady ended up saying, you know what, because you told me that, I'm taking $50 off, and I'm gonna slash this or whatever. Man, ended up after I factor in my ties, I had enough to actually pay the whole insurance thing off, and now I was able to drive my car. And so God was just working things out, man, and I just felt so blessed because He was doing it that way. And so I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute because it's a punchline, but it's amazing. So I ended up, still working. I started going to job interviews and everything, man. I got so many overqualifieds, which, to me, I get it because people don't want that much turnover in their company. They want somebody that's going to come there and stay. With my degree and my credentials, like some of those jobs, I was applying for warehouse store, people box stuff up. I cashier, like I was trying to put anything. I was like, okay, if I can work in these kitchens, Lord knows I can work in a different environment where, it's doing something other than midnight shift. So, but I enjoyed going at night. It was just relaxing or whatever, and I listened to my words. So, after that, man, ended up continuing to do that. Stayed at home during the New Year, and then after the New Year, you know how when you're doing something but you're supposed to go a different route. I just felt that thing lifting off of me. Like my time at home, it was time for me to go on back to Lima. I could just feel it kind of lifting, like, okay, it's time for you to go. So there was a couple dates up in there, and then I just knew there was time to go. So I just told my mom, hey, I'm ready to go, in the next few days and head back, see what's happening that way, and we'll see what happens, So ended up having enough money, put in my car, headed back to home to Lima. And so once I got there, I was just kind of itching to go again. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. And plus, I had an event that I had to work for the NBA. So, that was all coming up. So that's another reason I went home, because I ended up getting that opportunity. And so I went home and I was itching to leave. And it was like the Lord was like, sit your tail down, just calm down, don't be so hasty, And then at that time, my church, we were going on a corporate fast, okay? And so the Lord was like, sit yourself here and you go through that fast. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. And, I can remember me having talks with my pastor. He was just talking about during times of breakthrough happen when you fast, And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this fast, and I'm going to do an absolute fast. It's going to be nothing but liquids, so water and juice, but I'm not eating for 3 days. So, and you know how sometimes that could be hard. I was barely eating, at times anyway. So I was like, all right, Lord. So I just kind of was like, okay. So day one of the fast, I went through. It was pretty cool, got some word time in and stuff like that. And day two, I actually started getting hungry, man. And so, but I was like, nope, I'm not eating. You know how sometimes it's easy to break a fast. Like, you know what? Well, God knows I'm going to go ahead and break it. And I'll try next time. I was just like, nah, God working something out. I'm going to resist the urge to eat. I'm just going to resist it. I'm not doing it. And so later on that day, on the second day of the fast, is when I got the call about the current job that I'm in as a college basketball coach. I got that call that day, the second day of the fast. The third day of the fast, I actually got another call, and it was confirmed that I was going to have this position. So about 5 days from that day, it was solidified that all I had to do was sign the contract. So God He knew what He was doing. And that wasn't a job that I applied for. That wasn't a job that I sought out. That wasn't, I didn't think about being a college basketball coach. I mean, I've coached before, but I was just like, Lord, whatever you want me to do. It wasn't, I want to be a coach. Although that was natural and I was doing some coaching, I was like, Lord, whatever you want me to do, wherever you want me to be. And so this job came open, man, and I prayed, and I knew that this was what I was going to do, and so I accepted the job. And so that, all to make a long story short, man, I just wanted to share that because, and then I get down here, great situation, great opportunity, great boss, and ended up winning a conference championship. I got a ring on the way. Great people to be around. I love my girls on the team, love helping them and instructing them and just helping them in life and being there for them as a coach, And, it just started to take me places I've never been. I mean, with work, I done been out of the country already and, just traveling and doing basketball and being around people. And, I've had the opportunity to lead a young man to Christ on campus. And I know that God's going to use me to do some more of that and just be an influence to people, help people to get professional basketball jobs after they left here playing ball and, and them sending back a testimony on how, good God is and they feel like God used me. And that's not to my glory, but you could start to see that along the path where God leads you, he'll get glory because he'll start doing things and there'll be fruit on that path. And so you never have to worry, you never have to fret, and you never have to be anxious because God got you, man. He got you. You have to trust him, though. You got to trust him in the midst of everything that's around you in the natural that you're looking at. It's saying something different. It's saying something completely different. But you got to know in your heart that no. I can stand outside that arena and believe God for this ticket and know that God's going to perform it. I can't look at, I don't have it in my hand. You got to look at, I have it and I received it here. And you can't look at anything else. It's happened to me time and time again. Don't be anxious for nothing. There's job offers that I got when I was in Chicago that God told me not to take. He told me not to take them. And you know what? I listened. You got to just know his voice, man. It might sound weird that you might say, why you didn't take the job? You could have got money. That was good money, whatever. At that point, I was really trying to tune into the Lord and listen to what he had to say. And he told me not to take them. So I didn't. And I told the people that the Lord didn't want me to take it. I just been honest with them. Like, hey, it's not what I'm supposed to do. And so anyway, but God has blessed me, man. A year ago today, heck, I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. And now he's blessed me with a great job. My life has turned around structurally. I mean, I ain't had no health insurance and all that kind of stuff, but he's put me in a position where the things that I wanted and I was lacking, he's supplied those and he's put me in a position where I have those things and benefits and different things. Not that that's everything in life, because it's not. I mean, just because you have benefits don't people sometimes want to put stigmas on you that if you have certain things, then they'll look at you differently. Like, ooh, he got things going, whatever. No, you're you. Be you. Be you when God's working it out in your life and you don't have nothing in your pocket. Be you when you have money in your pocket. And that's one of the things I love being, is me. And be you. No matter what people look at you. I had people when I was going through my stuff look at me like I was nothing. I don't care though. It don't matter to me. Because you know what? The only person that you need to know that you need the affirmation to know that you're something in their eyes is God. You don't have to be nothing to anybody else. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to have a certain status for somebody to look at you and be like, ooh, or ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like, all you got to be is pleasing to the Lord. And the Bible says, without faith, it's impossible to please him. But when you have faith, you please God by faith. So if you lack it in a certain area, go ahead and please the Lord by getting in faith in that area. And when you get in faith in that area, then he's going to turn your stuff around. You ain't got to try to look a certain way to nobody. And it don't matter what nobody think about you. It don't matter. I wouldn't let it fall on deaf ears, because you ain't got to care what people think. And he stripped that of me too, because I used to care about what people think, even though nobody thought I cared about that stuff. Sometimes you do, because when I'm 37 years old, and it seems like in some ways I'm just getting started, but God knows how to redeem the time. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't take back any of the risks that I've taken. I've taken so many risks and started so many businesses that I now do not have. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just never afraid to step out. But now, going forward, I step out on purpose, because now I'm seeking the Lord for certain moves, on what moves to make, what things to do. And it's about his agenda in life, because when I stand before him, it's is he pleased with me, not is my friends pleased with me. It's a matter if the Lord's pleased with me, not my mama, not my daddy, not my cousins, not my, you know, that's never gonna matter when you're standing before the Lord. The only thing that matters is he pleased with you, you know. So let pleasing him be your life's focus. Be in faith about things and trust him, because he's your only hope. He's the one. He holds your future. He holds the key to everything that you'll ever want and need in life. Like, it's coming from him. And so that's just my encouragement for now. I want to tell that testimony. I know it was kind of long, but it just was on my heart to tell it, and it kept coming to my heart. I'm talking about tonight. It came really strong while I was driving home, so I know I needed to get on here and tell this. So be encouraged, man, because God could turn your stuff around in a little amount of time. He did it for me in a year, and he's continuing to do things in my life. And so, you know, he said promotion comes from him. So that's why you have to please him, be pleasing in his sight. Don't try to do things so you can look good in front of people. Do things so you can look good in front of God, because he's always watching when nobody's watching. When you feel like when you're by yourself naturally, you in your room by yourself, you off somewhere in the city and you alone, like, he see you. So please him, because you're in front of him at all times. He said the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. He see it all. So if you set our hearts in a place where we aim to be pleasing to him at all times, everything else going to be taken care of. When you please him, that overrules you pleasing somebody so they can like you. That stuff don't even matter, man. I'm here to tell you, I ain't been on the earth as long as a lot of people, but I've been on 37 years, and trying to please somebody and make somebody happy, that's an effortless pursuit, because you ain't gonna never do it. But when you please the Lord and aim to please the Lord, it takes care of everything else. All right? It takes care of people who like you. It takes care of people who don't like you. Because you know what? He said he'll make your enemies your footstool. So he said he'll make your enemies to be at peace with you. So all that other stuff don't matter. So my challenge for you is just get focused on the Lord. Get focused on him, man. Get focused on him and him only. And he'll work the other things in your life out. So that's all I had to say tonight, man. I just want to tell the testimony how God just brought me from a place where I wasn't eating. I didn't have no money. I tried to find jobs. I'm talking about do jobs I ain't want to do when I was trying to apply for them and then get them. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord did it, man. He did it. And he's going to continue to do it. And you just have to trust him. Things don't happen automatically just because you want them. No, you got to get in faith for them. And then once you get in faith for them, you got to talk as if God's already done it. And man, I'm telling you, that's it. But that's all I got to say tonight. I mean, I just wanted to tell that, man. And I hope somebody is encouraged by it. If this encouraged you, press the share button, because it'll probably encourage somebody else. It's time that we start using social media for positive stuff. I was watching the news and when I was out eating today, and just negative after negative after negative thing just kept coming on. Negative. It's like, you know what? Something positive. Let's light up social media with positive stuff. Share stuff. Share your pastor's messages. Share positive stuff, man. Everybody's sharing negative things. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Share positive stuff. Share this video that it might touch one of your friends. You know what I'm saying? Not so I can get a whole bunch of hits. I don't care about that. Let it touch somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, that's it, guys. I hope somebody's been blessed by this. And I'm excited. I'm excited because I know it's going to touch someone, because I know that's why God told me to share. So much love, y'all. I will holler at you guys soon. All right? Peace.